Welcome to the QQEvolution training video on how to create a user account in the online account management system. To access the online account management system, you will need to have the permission level to access the utilities section located on the left-hand side of your dashboard. If you do not have the permission level to access this section, you will need to get with your administrator to provide you that ability. Once you're in the Utilities section, on the very top toolbar, you'll see an option for user management. You're going to click on that option. This will take you directly to the online account management system for your agency. Your agency's name and contact and direct contact information should be listed automatically. The account information will give you the ability to edit and review any information that QQEvolution2 has for your agency. If you do make any changes to this section, always remember to click on Save Changes on the lower left-hand side. At the very bottom on the left-hand side, you'll see a section for user management. This is where we're going to focus our training today. We're going to review how to set up a user's account by setting up their individual login name or username, their password, and also how to reset their information, among other things. So starting at the very top, the Agent CSR section, this is where you're going to add the user's name that you're going to create that you would like to apply to either the customer's client page or any policies that are written through this agent. Click on Add Agent CSR to start this process. You're going to type in the agent or CSR's name. On the far right, you will notice we have also a agency filter. So if you have an agency, or if you're an agency that has multiple locations, you can assign this agent either to one agency or all agencies. Once you're done, you're going to click on Add to List. So it adds that particular name in alphabetical order. Now if I need to add additional, I can do so. Otherwise, I can also click on Done Adding on the lower right to remove the Type In panel. To add a new user, you're simply going to click on Create User right below the Agent CSR option on the left-hand side. Once you do that, you'll have a blank entry screen that appears, and you're going to start at the very top. Now, please note that some areas have a red asterisk at the beginning of each section. These are required fields, and you will need to complete this this section in order to move on to the next area. So this is where we're going to enter the customer's name and set their username and password. So we'll go ahead and do that. We're going to enter their user email address that they'll be using. Your next step is to set up the user's name. The user account should be a minimum of 6 characters and can be typed in any format that you'd like. We do recommend that you check the availability after creating this username. So let's go ahead and enter and create a username. I'm going to check the availability. This particular username is available. If there was someone else using that with that same username, you would see this option to be not available. Your password is your next step, and your password needs to be a minimum of 6 characters that include a capital letter and a number. So we're going to go ahead and type that in there. You're going to confirm that same password. Now the next section is assigning a default agent or CSR to this particular user. It doesn't necessarily have to be another individual. It can be the same person. So if you want their memos or their user accounts to automatically default to their name, you can go ahead and select that. This is not a mandatory or a required field, so if you did not want to make any selection, you can just click on next and move on to the next area. Now this is where we're going to set permission levels and basically assign different functions that this particular user is allowed to do depending on their role within your agency. We have 5 different permission levels that you have to choose from when assigning a new user to QQEvolution. Starting at the very top, the user permission level is mainly used for entry level, and you can assign specific permissions that this individual is allowed to perform within QQEvolution. The power user is for a more seasoned individual in your office that may need to have additional or more responsibilities and access to QQEvolution. We have a manager permission level. Now the last 2, local administrators, these are permission levels that will give whomever you assign this type of permission full access to do basically anything in QQEvolution. They can add, delete, they can void, they can remove and update information with other user accounts as well. If we look at the user setting, our next step would be to select in the application permission section on the right what type of permissions this user is eligible to do. So if you notice, we have some that have already been selected. When it comes to the billing section, this user has automatic access to modify billing information, add, and view billing information. If that is not the case, then you can check all those off and maybe add them back in at any point in time. Within the client section, this user is able to modify user or client's information, add clients, as well as view client information. So what you would need to do is just go down the list for each option and select what this user is going to perform, what functions this type of user, depending on their role, is going to perform within your agency. If you have multiple offices and this particular user is going to be the administrator for one specific office, then you can select the local administrator, and then at the bottom in the agency access section, sort of on the left hand side, you will need to select which office they would be assigned to, and make sure that they're checked at the bottom as well. If they're a full administrator for any office, then you want to make that selection. In the application permissions, you'll notice that every single area here is checked off, which means that they have full access to all the functions within QQEvolution, or to perform all those functions. Now if I try to remove a particular permission level, as you can see, we get a pop-up message that tells us we cannot do that. Administrators have automatic access. The same would be for local administrators. So if we change this to local administrator, we can see the same rule applies. If we try to uncheck any area within this permission level, you cannot. If we change this to a manager permission level, you will see that not all permissions have been checked, not all boxes are checked, but we have still a lot more than the user permission level. We can always uncheck these at will. So these we can modify and edit. It's just the administrators cannot be edited or modified. Okay, we'll go ahead and leave the Set Power User. And this way we can move on to our next section, which is selecting the default agency. If there are multiple agencies listed here at the bottom, I'll need to check those if this user is going to have access to that agency information as well. Once we're done, all the way at the bottom, we're going to select Create User. The system's saving all of our settings and information that we created. Our last step is to send a welcome email to that user. Within that email, that user is going to have the username that you created for them as well as their password. So that is how you would create a user account. Now if we needed to make any modifications to a user's account that has already been created, on the left hand side you'll see an option to edit and delete users. So when I click on that option, it brings me right to the page where it shows me all the users' accounts that we've created. On the right hand side you'll see the option to delete the user. Now keep in mind, once you delete the user, it is permanently deleted. To delete a user account, you're simply just going to click on that icon and you're going to click on OK to confirm that you definitely want to delete this user. On the far left, you'll notice we have a pencil with paper. If we needed to edit this user's account, we can go ahead and click on that option so it opens up the page where we can now reset the password. So if I needed to reset a new password for this user, same principle, minimum 6 characters with a number, and we're going to confirm it as well. You can change the user's user email or user name. You can also change by clicking on Next the user's permission level. So at this point, if we need to change that from administrator to manager, we can do that. Any changes that you make, whether it's on the first page or second page, you want to make sure that you come to the second page and click on Modify User to save the user's account. The same would go for the agent and CSR section. If you needed to make any changes to the agent or CSR's name, you have the option on the left hand side to click on. If you needed to delete this agent or CSR, you can also click on the icon on the right to permanently delete them from your list. And that is basically how you create and edit a user account in QQEvolution. Thank you.